This is a presentation of DirecTV, exclusive home of the Red Zone channel, the Fantasy Zone, the Dan Patrick Show, 20 years of NFL Sunday Ticket, the Rich Eisen Show, and America's premier source for sports television.
There is a fifth dimension beyond what is known to man, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You've just crossed over into the box score zone.
So I said to the waiter, I said, I like my pasta the way I like my medieval Italian literature, al dente.
We need a whole lot more of you and a whole lot less than... What do you want?
Nothing.
All right, well, you're interrupting. So what I'm thinking is, how about a kale salad? We want some Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. We are like Cersei and Jaime Lannister.
Hell yes. Love it.
A world turned upside down. Mr. Patrick O'Connor, husband, father, Danette, perplexed by a friendship that cannot possibly exist in a nightmare that feels all too real. And on a day not dissimilar to this one, and on a channel very similar to the one you're currently watching, the box score starts now.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple: C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Collins, the box score. Hello and welcome to the box score. I'm Brock in Los Angeles, joined by the Danettes back in Milford, Connecticut. Well, the San Francisco Giants are the World Series champions, and I, as a Kansas boy, a bit melancholy last night. Skipped my roommate's cat across the coffee table, but I'm all better now. Let me ask you, Paulie, what is the most heart-wrenching loss you've ever experienced as a fan?
Well, the most heart-wrenching thing I've ever heard is that you still have a roommate. After that, I would say, oh, this is pretty easy for
LA
me.
is
2003.
expensive.
Yeah, I hear you. I had 42. 2003, the Cubs were in the NLCS, and everyone remembers the Bartman game. What they don't remember is in Game 7, the Cubs had a 5-3 lead after Kerry Wood had a 3-run home run to take the lead. And I remember sitting there thinking, I think it was the 4th or 5th inning, I said, the Cubs are going to the World Series. I think the Cubs are going to the World Series. And I remember just sitting there, like if I could just hold myself and just pray and hope and do nothing and hold my breath and just get to the World Series. I want to see a Cubs World Series. Yeah, I'm not still upset about that.
Well, with the Giants winning 3 of the 5 last fall classics, the talk turned to a dynasty and an argument broke out between Fritzy and McLovin. Was it Linda Evans or Joan Collins? No, it was Seton and the boss talking baseball.
You're going to get this argument today. Well, is it a dynasty? This wasn't even a good World Series matchup. Okay.
So if it's not a dynasty, what is it?
I'm not here to debate it today. I said everybody's going to. I'm just going to savor this season.
I didn't realize you were buying a dog on the topic. Okay. Since I have it wrong, you tell me what a dynasty is.
I didn't have it right. I didn't come up with a definition. You just told me about Tommy Brady and Bill Belichick, and I said, okay, are they a dynasty? You said yes.
So you don't have an opinion on any of this?
I'm just soaking it in.
You don't have an opinion on the Patriots dynasty, or you don't have an opinion on Tom Brady? You don't have an opinion on San Francisco?
Well, if you shut up, I've tried to.
Uh-oh.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow.
It's pretty heated, man.
There was one point in that argument where Dan just said, ha, I just won this argument. Based on really nothing. They weren't even necessarily like having a one side versus the other. It was Seton saying it was a dynasty and Dan saying he's not going to weigh in on the dynasty, which eventually morphed into it's not a dynasty.
Yeah, I was proud of Seton there. He was backing Seton up against the wall and trying to push his buttons, but he fired right back. He's like, I'm giving all these opinions on what I think a dynasty is and isn't, and with the Giants, and then he demanded Dan to give a better definition of dynasty and also pick what teams over the years that he thinks are dynasties. So that was a good job throwing it back at him.
I think sometimes Dan, like when I'm arguing with him, I think he likes to sort of pin me against the wall a little bit and try to prove why I'm wrong and not why the other side is right. And so you sort of have to, if you can navigate those punches a little bit and squirm your way out from the wall, then sometimes you might win a little bit, and other times you got to be like, oh, yeah, you was so wrong.
Well, Seton, you were talking about in the box these disputes with Dan. Has it ever gone a little too far?
Yeah. Yeah, it did once in the attic. It definitely got like crazy. It was about Alex Rodriguez or something, and I think an interview where like a question was or wasn't asked or something, and he was like super mad at me. He was really mad and yelling and all this stuff, and that was really ugly. I don't really ever want to go back to that again.
Wish we had tape of that.
Well, Paulie, as far as sports TV and radio, who are the major dynasties in sports?
Sports? Wow, that's a tough one. I would say there's not a lot of guys who stay at one place for a long time. I would say in sports radio, you look at Jim Rome. He's done one thing for a long, long time. Jim Rome, I think on the national level, has been doing it longer than anybody. Mike, Dan Patrick. Nationally, those are the sports radio guys. On TV, I look at Brent Musburger. He's been doing it since he was 30, and now he's over 70, and he's still doing it at the same high level. Different places, but I think the level Brent Musburger does it, or Al Michaels, would constitute like a sports broadcasting dynasty. Or, of course, Bob Costas. But Bob's even, I mean, he just turned 60, so he still feels young to me. But he's been at the highest level since he was 25 years old.
Earlier today, though, we threw out your boy, Francesa. He certainly had a bit of a run there in New York City for himself. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt Mike Francesa we goof on him sometimes, but he is one of the godfathers of sports radio. If not the first, one of the 3 or 4 first sports radio hosts.
Well, that's a win. That's just what that is. Well, with all the talk of Dynasty today, our back row blogger, of course, reminded Dan Nation of the dynasties that no other sports show is talking about.
I'm going to show you a dynasty. You ready? These are dynasties. Oh, I went a little farther. You know who that is? Charlie Ming, the Ming Dynasty.
Ming Dynasty.
Oh, that was a
Was his first name Charlie?
I don't know.
Charlie
He had a lot of
Ming.
vases.
Chuckles
a lot
Ming.
of vases, or vases. Vases. That, of course, is Henry VIII.
Yeah.
The Tudors.
Didn't want to be married to him.
No, you didn't know. He was not a great husband, per se. This is Sultan Osman I of the Ottoman Empire that ruled from the 13th century to the early 1920s.
Now that is a dynasty.
System
Yeah.
Dynasty?
2 more. Now this is I don't know if this is an actual drawing. This appears to be Genghis Khan on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You got a little friend back there with us?
The Mongol Empire, of
And
course.
you know what? She needs a helmet on.
There aren't as many photos of Genghis Khan as you think. Does it think there were?
Because there are no
There's, like,
cameras.
A lot of artist
I like
renderings.
this little girlfriend on the
There's
back.
lots of like bronze statues of Genghis Khan, but
Gotta really
people would
dig.
have no idea who that was. Would I show Genghis Khan on a motorcycle?
Nah.
You notice
It
nobody
doesn't register
names
the
their
art.
kids Genghis. Like, I've
Yeah.
never met, like, Genghis Jones or Smith. Like, my kids go to school with, like, Ethans
Genghis
and
steak.
Nathans. You ever say, hey, there's Genghis, my buddy.
You're not going to the
I
right
don't think Genghis
restaurants.
Khan was a nice guy. Yeah.
All right, well, dynasty or not, congrats to the Bay Area and the Giants, all the best. Coming up, it's technology stuff and technology. Right.
At Chevrolet, we have also been proud of the latest and greatest technology in our truck lineup, which is the all-new 2015 Chevy Colorado. It combines class-winning and leading, technology and stuff.
Welcome back to the box score. Last night, Chevy's regional manager, Rick Wild, completely bombed on air while trying to give a truck away to the MVP, Masson Baumgartner. Fritz, you've had some bombs during some mock headlines. Any advice to Rick moving forward from this point?
I wish I could. I would say calm down, but these guys will totally destroy me for that because I'm often very uptight and sweaty and anxious and could drop several pounds. So I have a lot of the same qualities as that guy, and he was in a tough spot there, and I'm probably the last person to give him advice on
flop sweat
staying calm and getting through it. I felt bad for him, but hopefully what looked like a total embarrassing disaster for him, based on social media and all the attention he's getting, maybe he'll even get a big raise and promotion out of it, and they got a whole new slogan with technology and stuff. So maybe it'll all work out the best for Wild, or however we pronounce Rick's name.
Yeah, you would think Chevy would be a little bit more prepared and put a guy out there, maybe a salesman or a spokesman. But Rick, we did some digging. We think we have heard Wild's voice before. Seaton, keep your ears open, and you be the judge on this one.
At Chevrolet, we have also been proud of the latest and greatest technology in our truck lineup.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies.
It combines class winning and leading, technology and stuff.
It's still real to me, damn it.
To recognize your performance in this 2014 World Series.
Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Funk, for saying what needed to be said.
Saying what needs to be said. Man, that poor little squishy-faced guy. Oh, I love them both, man. That poor fella was so emotional about wrestling. You guys have done to your bodies. Okay. Me. And then here's this nervous dude up there, his little shaky paper. I feel bad for both.
I think we should start some type of like museum of awkward moments in media and have you could walk through a building and press these and have them on a screen forever, because I don't want someone to forget Rick with 2K's wild Wildy, or the guy, the crazy guy.
That's like that.
It's real to me, damn it!
Hey, take it easy, man.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy, man.
Diamond Dallas Page just sitting there, what the hell am I doing?
Well, staying on the topic of World Series television misery, Paulie got nostalgic and brought back a stressful DP Fall Classic moment.
You were hosting the ALCS coverage 2004. It was Red Sox at Yankees.
Yeah.
And they had a teleprompter for you you were doing the 6 o'clock Sports Center.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes before the 6 o'clock Sports Center was going to start, the teleprompter went down.
Yeah.
And you had no script in your hands and no script in front of you. And a bunch of us were writing down on a piece of paper. We were calling up on cell phones, more so the other producers, but I was just helping out with cards. And you're sitting there with no script, and you're 4 minutes to air. And this is one of the biggest sports centers, it's at Yankee Stadium before Game 7. And we're handing you cards, and we're like, oh, this is going to be bad. Everyone thought it was going to be awful. And you pulled it off, but afterwards, you look like a wet rag.
Oh, you were a champ, though.
Wow.
That was sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed. It sounds like you really stepped up to the plate.
It was a wild scene that day. Dan was throwing back and forth at 6 o'clock Sports Center, and there was Wi-Fi back then was barely even invented, if they had it. Cell phones were barely working. They were trying, our printers wouldn't work. Like the emails weren't getting down to the emails where we're standing on the Yankee dugout, 2 hours before game time, and we're trying to print the scripts, and the scripts weren't getting to us, and they weren't getting to the printer, and the clock is ticking. And I had a stack of blue cards, and this guy Todd Snyder and one other producer whose name I don't remember, we just started writing on the script. And we've got phones in our ears, and they're giving us throws, and they're saying this is the first 1 second, and we're handing it. And Dan's just sitting there like, what are we doing? And he's being calm because he knows if he's not calm, everyone's gonna freak out. And we're trying to get guests for him and everything like that. So Dan pulled this off, and if you watch the video, you would have no idea if there was anything amiss. But there's no prompter, no scripts. He had no idea who was coming to him back and forth. It was a complete S show, if you know what I mean. And on the air, it looked completely fine.
Well, Paul, what is the worst technical freakout you guys have had in DP show history?
We've had a lot. I'll give you two. In the old studio, the signal just went down, and Dan was in the middle of the segment. And I looked at, and this is early. Yeah. And I looked at Steve and I go, what do we do? He goes, and we both said, well, he doesn't know, so let's not tell him. So we kept on talking on the topic.
Like we were on the air.
And we weren't on the air. We were just two guys. We're three guys in an attic in Milford, Connecticut talking to each other. And Steve and I weren't even on the air at the time.
You could have thrown out a curse word just to test it and be like, Dan.
And then the other one.
Dan will give you like a little, I remember him going like, we good over there? Like, yeah, dude, don't worry about it. Absolutely. And meanwhile, there's like smoke coming from like, oh God, what are we doing?
A couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, our electricity was shut off because the bills weren't paid in this building, and so we had no electricity going into the show. And it's 8:50 a.m. Eastern, and we're on the phone with the power company. They're like, yeah, we'll get someone out there maybe Thursday. I'm like, how about maybe 4 minutes from now? And I'm like, can you do us a favor? And thank God the woman recognized Dan Patrick's name. She goes, oh, Dan from the TV shows? And she, yeah. She goes, let me get this going. And she put the hammer down, and a couple minutes before air, power went on, and we had no generator back then. We were just a bunch of guys sitting over a bar looking at each other.
Can you imagine?
It was a simpler time. All right, well, stick around. We're getting ready for Halloween here in Box Scoreville. You do not want to miss this at all. Boo. We're back here on the box score. Well, gentlemen, Halloween is tomorrow, and one of the best ways to get into the spirit is to watch a couple horror flicks. Paulie, do you have a go-to Halloween movie?
Man, there's a bunch. The scariest movie I ever saw, I think, was the first half-hour movie, When a Stranger Calls. It's an early 80s movie where this girl is babysitting. I think it was that Carol Kane, the actress, kind of crazy hair, and she's babysitting, and this guy keeps calling her, and she calls the cops back and forth, back and forth. The scene gets really ramped up. She's babysitting, and all of a sudden the cops call back and say, the call is coming from inside the house. Oh, and man, I was like, that messed me up.
Spoiler alert, man.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it in the past 33 years, then you're screwed.
All right, well, we asked Dan to put his movie critic shoes on and asked him about some iconic horror flicks, and you tell us, was Dan scared by it, did he not like it, or he didn't see it? It's every man for himself, and of course the losers will be haunted by Fritzy's bobblehead until next Halloween. First movie is the 1976 classic, The Omen, technology and stuff. Seaton, did it scare him, did he not like it, or did he not see it?
76?
Yeah, I feel like that was right, like Dan, like dating era. He probably like second date with his now wife. I'm gonna say he saw it. I'm gonna say it scared him because religious stuff is scary.
McLovin.
I'm going to say that's a definite did not see. He saw the Oberman, not the Omen.
Number 5, Paulie.
I'm gonna say didn't see it. Not his wheelhouse. At that time, he didn't have money to go to movies, and if he did, he would have spent it on beer.
Fritzy, your thoughts?
I'm going to say he saw it and was a little freaked out by it.
Well, let's see what the boss said.
Damien. I hated that little kid. Damn, was he powerful. He stayed with me for a while. And I always think of the car commercial when you hear that zoom, zoom. I always think that little kid looks like Damien from The Omen.
All right. Next movie in question is Night of the Living Dead. McLovin, start us off.
Night of the Living, cult classic. I'm pretty sure Dan did not see that. He's not into cult classics.
All right, Seaton.
I'm almost positive Dan thinks that movie's dumb. He doesn't like it.
I'm gonna say he saw it with some type of skull bong next to him and didn't really care for it.
Fritzy, your thoughts?
I'm gonna say he never saw that movie.
All right, well, this is what DP thought of the Night of the Living Dead.
Never saw it.
I never saw it. All right, next up, Fritzy, what did the boss think of A Nightmare on Elm Street?
I'm going to say he definitely saw that, but was not impressed by Freddy Krueger and was not scared by Freddy Krueger.
Paulie?
Well, I remember him imitating Freddy Krueger a long time ago, so I assume he saw the movie, scared by it. I'm going to say, well, I think he liked it and scared by it, so I guess that's the same thing. Yeah, he liked it.
McLovin?
I think Dan's too cool to go see Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, he might have impersonated him, but he was just such a big cultural figure. So I'm going to say no.
Real quick, can you guys do that high five thing again? I love that. It's the best.
Seaton?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think
I'm going to say Dan saw it, didn't like it.
All right, let's see what Dan said for Nightmare on Elm Street.
I could never tell the difference between all those movies. So I think somebody got killed and somebody had like switchblades or something in a mask. So Freddy Krueger, maybe?
Dan did not like it. Didn't like it. And finally...
Didn't like it or didn't see it?
Whoa, 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 protest.
You know, I love, this is like the second time we've done this game where the fantastic producers here, the back room guys, don't get a square answer out of Dan.
Now, I don't recall Freddy Krueger using a switchblade or a mask.
I don't think so.
Right, so if I'm leaning, if I didn't guess right, so if I was betting, I don't think he saw it.
Didn't see it.
I think he's heard about it.
Or he saw it, but he doesn't remember which one was which.
I think he was talking about Jason. I'm pretty sure that's Jason he was describing.
Right. Yeah, Halloween, Friday the 13th.
That's a not seer.
Let me here, I'll solve everything. We're throwing that out. And finally, the movie is Blair Witch Project. Paulie, what do you think?
Oh, man. If I remember, he saw it and hated it. But I'm not sure.
Fritzy?
I'm going to say he did not see Blair Witch Project.
All right. It's 2 not see. Seton.
Saw it. Hated it.
McLovin.
I could be wrong, but I'll bet he didn't see it, and I'll bet you Paulie and Seton hated it. Although I loved it. I was freaked out.
Sucks.
Well, Dan's answer for Blair Witch Project is...
Blair Witch Project, yes, I did watch Blair Witch Project, and I got scared. I got very scared. Feeling cold.
Yes, it's getting cold. He saw
He's
it.
scared. He's scared. Okay, and the Dan Patrick...
Are you kidding me?
Yes, and the Dan
The
Patrick...
guys in the corner?
Okay, wait. First, I just want to go on record as saying I saw that movie and I loved it. I thought it was really creative and super scary. I know for a fact that Dan has torn that movie to shreds here in this studio, talking about how stupid it is.
I'm going to go second source on that seed. And I remember him just saying, well, all the hype about that. I remember he came in just killing it. And he
Like
said,
in the last 6 months, he said
That's so weird.
But how can you not
succumb to some
First
kind
of all,
of peer pressure and has to
it's
say
a
he likes it?
documentary to start with. Like, that actually
They
happened.
found those
Like,
tapes in the woods.
do you
half the
think,
cast is
hold
dead.
on, guys. Do you think the graphics guys already had he was scared as his answer, and they asked Dan to change his answer so it matched that because they have gone home
Because
for
the
the day.
graphics guys.
The logical,
That's so weak.
The logical explanation is that Dan was scared poopless from this movie and just didn't want to share that with you guys. The Dan Patrick Halloween Cinema Appreciation Award goes to Todd Fritz. Woo! Stay with us. Oh, it's scary.
Just made that up. Richie got every single one wrong.
I don't know how The Shining and Poltergeist didn't make it. I'm a little disappointed.
All right, well, it's the graphics guy's fault. Stick around because it is a haunting. We will go. Welcome back to the Box Score. Guys, after the show, you're going to be heading to New York and you're going to wake up there on Halloween. Paul, you've long claimed that the Milford Man Cave is haunted. Are you glad to be out of there on the spookiest day of the year?
Yeah, no, it's kind of comfortable up here. I do like New York because tomorrow there'll be people in their suits and people in their skirts and dresses. And then there'll be a guy dressed as Chewbacca just walking down the street at 8:15 in the morning with a briefcase. And that's what I think about New York. And the thing about the guy in the Chewbacca outfit, you don't necessarily know that he's wearing it for Halloween or it's just his Friday Chewbacca outfit.
It's just crazy.
I love New York.
Oh, man. And also, by the way, Fritzy, I know you know the nurses and the young ladies on the streets of Soho.
Yeah.
Basically, could be an interesting
It could be a
situation.
very good time.
Now put your head on a swivel. Well, we didn't want you guys to miss the presence of ghosts too much, so we did some research and found some spooky places close to the New York City Man Cave that you could go visit should you go choose. First up, it's called the House of Death, only a mile away from the New York City Man Cave. This house has been...
Isn't that 46th Street and 9th Avenue? And
Yes.
isn't that Fritzy's room?
Yeah, this house has seen many mysterious killings, giving way to numerous ghost sightings, none more famous than
you don't want to,
former resident Mark
You
Twain.
don't want to go in one of those ghost lights in that room. No, sir.
McLovin, are you going to go to the house? Maybe talk some American literature?
Was that Mark Twain's house? Yeah, all those old, everybody's been killed in those old Greenwich Village places. But the thing is, we work on a daily basis in a place where at least 14 people have been murdered in the last
A
century.
couple careers have died in our building.
Yeah. Wow. That doesn't scare me.
All right, well, Mark Twain's ghost was seen there. Next up is St. Mark's Church in the Bowery, and it's a mile from the Man Cave. This church was built in 1660 on top of a Dutch colonial governor's farm. Legend says the peg-legged Dutchman still haunts the grounds, harassing churchgoers, ringing bells, and loudly singing hymns in Dutch. Wow. Fritzy, I sense a supernatural sing-off.
That could happen. I'm going to have to swing by the Bowery and start, rapping with some ghostly, ghoulish figures. We'll have to look into that. But based on the way you just described it, I don't think I want to go anywhere near that place.
And finally, the Dakota, 4 miles away. This building was the setting for the horror classic Rosemary's Baby and is the former home of John Lennon, who was murdered in the entrance. Over the years, several ghosts have been reported, including the apparition of Lennon himself. Seton, would you go over there and jam with Lennon's ghost?
Yeah, I've already been by there. And actually, I like to go to sort of spooky places and haunted places. There's a ton in Connecticut that will sort of drive-by or whatever. And the last time I was out in LA, I almost went by the place where the Tate, like Manson murders happened. LA actually has a ton of like really creepy stuff that you can go by and check out and get a little.
All right, Fritz, you're going to be checking out some nurses tomorrow. Who's on tomorrow?
We will catch up with Dolphins quarterback Ryan Tannehill, Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Peter King will join us in studio to recap the Saints and Panthers and look ahead to the rest of Week 9, including Manning Brady. Chris Mannix is at tonight's Knicks-Cavs game, and then he's flying back to join us in studio tomorrow to talk some NBA and his experience at the Cavs game in the first week of the NBA season.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Safe travels. Thanks for watching The Box Score. Join us every weekday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Audience Channel 239 or catch our podcast available on iTunes or podcast1.com. Showback to calm the nerves.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Hey! Thanks for watching The Box Score. Holy cow!
This was a presentation of DirecTV, exclusive home of the Red Zone channel, the Fantasy Zone, the Dan Patrick Show, 20 years of NFL Sunday Ticket, the Rich Eisen Show, and America's premier source for sports television.